Peace and blessings, family. Welcome back to another Through the Bible. On this Through the Bible, I'm going to do Luke chapter 24, verses 1 through 26. And of course, you know to get your pens, your paper, your Bible, follow along and take notes. Okay, so let's get into this Luke 24. Zohar.
It says, "Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came unto the sepulchre, bringing the spices which they had prepared, and certain others with them."
Okay. And that's okay. So let's read verse 2.
And they found the stone rolled away from the sepulchre.
All right, so let's go see who they are that are bringing spices. We're going to go to Mark 16, verse 1 through 4, because it says, "And they came very early in the morning to the sepulchre, bringing spices that they had prepared, and certain others with them. And they found the stone rolled away." All right, so Mark 16 and 1.
And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome had brought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him.
Okay, so those they?
That's
So we see it was Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Salome, and they had brought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. Anoint him who? Jesus. Okay, verse 2 through 4.
And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun.
So first of all, so your day starts when? In the morning, not at night.
The rising of the sun.
Rising of the sun. Okay.
And they said among themselves, "Who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre?"
So they wasn't she women. They have the strength,
She-Hulk.
They got that commercial where the woman lifting that man on the couch.
Yeah.
So no, with all of them there, they couldn't roll the stone away.
Man.
Verse 4.
And when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, for it was very great.
All right, so we see that they was Mary Magdalene. You had Mary, the mother of James, and Salome. It was those ladies, and there was actually a couple of more of them there. Okay, so we're going back to Luke 24 and verse 3.
And they entered in and found not the body of the Lord Jesus.
Okay,
And it came to pass, as they were much perplexed thereabout, behold, two men stood by them in shining garments.
okay, so now we're going to go back to Mark chapter 16 and verse 5, because it says, "And they entered in and found not the body of the Lord Jesus. And it came to pass, as they were much perplexed about it, behold, two men stood by them in shining garments." So Mark 16 and verse 5.
It says, "And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were frightened."
See, and so they're still talking about these sisters, Mary Magdalene and Mary. And they were the ones who went in there, and they were like astonished, like, "Where is Jesus? He's not here." But they sure saw that angel, them shining garments on him. Yes. Okay. Can't wait to get my shining
I'm
garment.
telling you.
Okay, verse 5 of Luke 24.
And as they were afraid, and bowed down their faces to the earth, they said unto them, "Why seek ye the living among the dead?
Yes, sir. He is alive. Why are you seeking the living among the dead? But they were afraid and bowed down their faces. So they didn't say, "Yes, angel, what you got to say?"
Yeah.
Hold on, he's speaking. And they didn't say that. No, they were afraid, bowed down their faces. So let's go to Psalms chapter 16 and verse 8 through 11.
Psalm 16. 8 through 11. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved.
Okay.
Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope.
Yes. Why is it that your flesh going to rest in hope? Why? Because of the resurrection. So you die, but you die with that hope that you're going to be resurrected. First resurrection too. Okay. Verse 10.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption.
And this is Jesus. He didn't need no ointment, no spices, none of that. Because his body says, thou wilt not suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. And we know Christ is the only Holy One.
That's right.
None of us are. We need him and his blood in order to make us holy. But he is the only Holy One, because he said everybody else sin. All have sinned. Okay, verse 11.
Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore.
Yes, sir. He said, I will show me the path of life, for in thy presence is fullness of joy. And I like that he said that, because in the presence of God, this is where you get that fullness of joy. Because
right.
most people, they want to find that joy in what? Cars, houses, all these things that Babylon has
Money,
to offer. But that,
everything.
even when people get a new car, you know how excited that new car smell is? And all these buttons on it, and you want to, but that joy is only temporal. A month, that car don't seem like nothing. That house, the rooms look smaller, and the carpet on the tile, but in thy presence,
yes, sir, is the
fullness of joy. And he said, at thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. There's rulership. You're a king. This is Christ.
Yeah.
He got all power. Yes.
You live forever.
Those are the true pleasures, not what Babylon has to offer. That's temporary stuff. It don't bring you no pleasure. If anything, it brings you sorrow, because it's going to cost you something. Okay, so let us go back to Luke 24 and verse 6. So Christ was not there because he was living, no longer dead. Okay, verse 6.
He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spake unto you when he was yet in Galilee.
Okay, let us go to Matthew 16 and 21, and let's see what he spoke.
It says, from that time forth began Jesus to shew unto his disciples how that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day.
And isn't that what he said? He says he is not here, but he is what? He is risen. And remember how he spake unto you when he was yet in Galilee, and he told them that he was going to suffer, but on the third day he would rise. He told them that. Okay, so let's read verse 7 as well, and then we'll go.
It says, saying, the Son of Man must be delivered unto the hands of sinful men, and be crucified, and the third day rise again.
Okay, now hold on. I'm just talking in general. Hold on. Now, when we was in Matthew 16, did not he just say that how he was going to suffer things of the elders, chief priests, scribes, and be killed?
Yeah.
What did he just call them in verse 7?
Sinful men.
Did not he just say they sinful? These law keepers, these lawgivers who quoted the law, so-called taught.
Sat at Moses' seat.
Yes, but he just said He's going to be delivered of sinful men. And that's what they were. To be what? Crucified. And the third day, he's going to rise again. Well, let us go to Psalm 71 and verse 20.
It says, Thou which hast shewed me great and sore troubles, shall quicken me again, and shall bring me up again from the depths of the earth.
Oh, so he's going to rise again on that third day, even though he had showed him what great and sore troubles from who? These sinful men and what they would do to him. But he says, but you shall quicken me and bring me up again from what? From the dead. That he will be raised on that third day from the depths of the earth. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians 15, verse 1 through 4.
Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also you have received, and wherein you stand, by which also you are saved, if you keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless you have believed in vain. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures.
So this Paul telling them this is how they was going to be saved?
Yep.
How Christ died for their sins, our sins, according to the Scriptures. Did he mention law anywhere up and down?
No.
Don't see it, do you?
No.
Verse 4.
And that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures.
But Paul a false prophet.
That's what they say. I was just about to say.
But he preaching the same thing Peter and the rest of them.
He preaching the same thing they was preaching.
And and he's telling you that Jesus was buried and that he rose again on the third day according to the Scriptures. And this is just in this what Luke, this is Luke's testimony of his walk with Christ and things that took place. He said that the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified and rise again on the third day.
Right there.
So look like Paul and Luke, they bear witness of each other. So let's go to Job 19 and verse 25.
Job 19. It says, For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth.
What is Job telling us here? He said, for I know that my Redeemer liveth. So evidently Job knew that Christ would be crucified and put to death, but he was going to what? Live again, because he said, I know he liveth.
He preaching the gospel.
Yes, and he shall stand. Yes. And he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. How is that? Because when you dead, ain't you laying down?
You're laying down,
but when he's resurrected, he's standing, and he's standing forever as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He is our Redeemer, Israel. Yes, sir. Even Job knew that. Whew. Now let's go to Isaiah 53. Verse 9 through 10.
Isaiah 53 and verse 9 says, And he made his grave with the wicked.
He wasn't wicked, but he made his grave, or he died along with the wicked. Okay?
and with the rich in his death,
Okay.
because he had done no violence.
The Holy One. Isn't that what it said in
Yes, sir.
Psalm?
The Holy
The
One.
Holy One. Yep. He had done no violence.
Neither was any deceit in his mouth.
He wasn't trying to deceive you. He was there to tell you the truth. Because he was the way, the truth, and is, matter of fact, the way, the truth, and the life. And he came trying to teach us this. He wasn't out there deceiving like these scribes, Pharisees, and chief priests. They was all discreet. They was all about the widows' houses and taking the homeless, those, the children who were without
The
parents,
orphans,
the orphans. They was
The
robbing them.
fatherless.
Deceitful.
Verse 10.
Yes.
Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days. Oh, was that?
That's it.
Oh. And the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. I'm like, oh Lord, I read the next verse.
No, you could.
She moving on.
No, I was trying to find somebody who was reading.
I had to
Yes.
check the paper. I'm like, oh,
No,
verse 10
you
over
was-
there.
Yeah, it's on there. Okay. And so he said, yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He have put him to what? Grief. And it says, when thou shalt make his soul an offering for sins, where Paul was preaching, then we just read
Yep,
this in First
preaching.
Corinthians. He shall see his seed. Now, then Adam, now remember he's the second Adam.
Second.
And Christ is having those to come out of him to be just like him. Brother Reggie was going over this. This is his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Because once Christ he dies one time, rose on the third, his days are forever now.
Yes, sir.
His days are prolonged, no more dying. And we want that same prolonging for us. Die one time, but after that, it's forever.
Yes, ma'am.
No more dying. Yep. And the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Why? Because he's going to rule the kingdom. It's God's pleasure for him to rule as king. Christ earned that.
That's right.
He laid his life down for that. So what the Father say, all power. He said that all power is given
him.
into my hands. That it pleasure the Lord to give. It's an honor to give your son that. He laid his life down for his children. Shoot you. Yes. All right, let's go back to Luke 24 and verse 8.
24 and verse 8 says, and they remembered his words and returned from the sepulchre and told all these things unto the 11 and to all the rest.
All right, and so wasn't Luke one of the 11? So Luke here is giving his account. He's just telling you that he's telling you that these Mary them came and they were told these things until the 11, because minus Judas, that leave 11. Okay, so Luke is even speaking of himself here. So verse 10.
And 10. It was Mary Magdalene and Joanna and Mary the mother of James and other women that were with them, which told these things unto the apostles.
See, they these women. So we know it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and also there were other sisters there that told these things unto the apostles. They didn't go tell Pilate. They didn't go tell no other nation of men. They went to the apostles.
To the apostles.
Their brothers.
But wait a minute, moment. Why they weren't called disciples right here? Because we had somebody one time leave a comment was asking, why you call them apostles?
Because it said right here.
Because one day because Brother Reggie Sr. was doing a lesson, and you know, he was reading out of the Gospels.
Yes.
You know, I think it was Matthew at the time explaining something. And he said apostle.
Yes.
Somebody said,
Why
why you call
call-
them apostle? They disciples right there.
Oh my goodness.
Well, here go your answer.
Yes.
Told these things
Things
to the
to-
apostles.
Boy, you just can't make this stuff up in Israel.
You know, they just nitpick.
Yes, they love to. Oh my goodness. Verse 11.
And their words seemed to them as idle tales, and they believed them not. Wow.
See? But what they were saying to the apostles, they didn't believe these sisters. They was like,
They
idle
said
tales.
idle
Like,
tales.
stop talking this
Story.
nonsense.
You know, your grandma told you quit telling the story.
Yeah. You always getting, you know, because they think us ladies can get wound up. And,
Yeah.
You know, what they say, like you over exaggerate stuff.
Yeah.
No, they was telling the truth.
That could show you could be hearing something and don't understand. Because Jesus
Yes.
would tell them. Remember the angel had said, remember what Christ told you
Yes.
when he was with you. He kept telling them, I must be delivered down to Jerusalem. You know black people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you going to do the fishing load thing again? Hungry.
That's right. Israel mind is like 1 minute.
Yep.
You know, it only lasts for when you saying it right then. But it show you Israel struggles with faith.
Yes, faith. Yeah.
Okay. Verse 12.
Then arose Peter and ran unto the sepulchre.
Should have known.
And stooping down, he beheld the linen clothes laid by themselves, and departed, wondering in himself at that which was come to pass.
So here go Peter. He arose
like
and
Peter.
ran. Peter was no joke.
They
like
talking, he took off.
I love Peter.
They all like, hey, let me go see myself.
All right, so we're going to go to John 20 and verses 1 through 4.
John 21 through 4. The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. And she runneth and cometh to Simon Peter, and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Peter therefore went forth, and that other disciple, and came to the sepulchre. So they ran both together. And the other disciple did outrun Peter, and came first to the sepulchre.
Peter, you was a little slow.
Israel's hilarious.
Israel, I love him.
John wanted you to know, because we know he is other disciples.
I beat
And by the
Peter.
way, while he telling this story, he like, and by the way, I outran.
He gave me hinds feet, buddy. And I ran
Israel
Peter.
barefoot racing. You know we
Yes.
do that with our friends.
Yes. But I love the fact how they ran
They
to see it.
ran, yes.
There's some urgency there, isn't it?
And they love the Lord.
Yes, they did. Okay, now we're going to go back to Luke 24 and verse 13.
It says, 13.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
And behold, two of them went that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 80 furlongs.
All right, and so here it is. I looked up that 80 furlongs, and it's said like a 7.5 mile walk, which is 80. We know a score is 20, so 60 furlongs. And so these brothers, they walk 7.5 miles. Well, we can't even walk a mile today.
Yeah, that's all they
Just
did.
think about that. They walked everywhere. Okay, verse 14.
Verse 14. And they talked together of all these things which had happened.
And so while they walking on this little journey here, 7 miles, they just having a conversation about what happened. You know, Jesus died, and they talking about the body there, and you know what's going on. Okay, verse 15.
And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Jesus himself drew near and went with them.
Okay.
But their eyes were holden that they should not know him.
Wow. Just see. So this shows you that when God causes you not to see, you're not going to see. Because while they sitting here communing or just having a conversation about things that just had taken place, with Jesus himself drew near and he went with them. But their eyes were holding that they should not know him. So, but let's go to Exodus 9 and 12. I like that this just shows you that the power that the Lord has to cause you to see or not see, or cause you to hear, just like they heard Jesus explain to them that he would rise and believe. And yes.
Exodus 9 and 12 says, And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had spoken unto Moses.
So what you gonna do that when the Lord do something? Who can stay his hand or make him do something that he don't want to do? Nobody. Shows you that the Lord is in control. And so at this point he calls them not to know who he was. Then they couldn't see. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
That is just simply amazing to me. This person come in your midst, y'all having a conversation, and
Makes you wonder,
you don't
did the
even
Lord
recognize
do
it.
that in our own lives?
Yes.
Just sitting there not knowing, he just come speak to you.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm sure he
Think only
does.
just a regular man.
Nope.
Have a whole conversation.
Whole conversation.
And doing sister. Doing
Yes.
good today.
Yeah. You be like, yeah, doing all right. Yeah. Okay. So back to Luke 24 and 17.
And he said unto them, What manner of communications are these that you have one to another, as you walk and are sad?
So Jesus just asked them, what y'all talking about? And why y'all walking and looking so sad? What did they say?
And the one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answering said unto him, Art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and has not known the things which are come to pass there in these days?
Okay, so we're going to deal with that. So first of all, and one of them, so we know one of the two who was walking was named Cleopas. But let's go to John 19 and 25 and see who Cleopas was. John 19 and verse 25.
Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Cleopas, and Mary Magdalene.
So hold on. So now there stood by the cross Jesus, Mary, which was Jesus' mother, and his mother's sister.
So his auntie.
So here go your uncle walking and having a conversation, and you don't even recognize your nephew.
Think about that.
Yes. So Mary, Jesus's what we say auntie, was Cleophas's wife, and also Mary the Magdalene. But this is who this Cleopas was, and it's good that you see that it was a family.
It was all about family.
I love that. And so Cleopas, we go back to Luke 24 and 18. He answered, said unto him, Art thou only a stranger? Hold on. A stranger.
A stranger.
I thought an Israelite couldn't be a stranger. So this shows Israelites can be strangers. Art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things which are come to pass there in these days? So why in the world would a stranger be coming to Jerusalem? And we know Jesus was of the tribe of Judah. But notice he asked him, was he only a stranger coming to
In
Jerusalem?
Jerusalem.
So why would a stranger be coming up to Jerusalem? Was it still the feast day?
It was the feast. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it ain't that hard, y'all. So we know who this stranger, when we see strangers, who it's talking about. So we're going to go to 1 Peter 1:1. And mind you, Jesus is black, as they would like to say, we're black.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. He wasn't of another nation, no heathen.
That's right.
So, but this man called him a stranger.
Stranger. Yeah.
So 1 Peter 1:1.
Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia.
So what strangers is Peter talking about? Them Israelites scattered. Okay. Now let's go to Numbers 9 and verse 14.
And if a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto the Lord, according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. You shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and for him that was born in the land.
So, are thou only a stranger in
Stranger.
Jerusalem? And we know Jesus was the Passover lamb.
Lamb.
It was Passover. And this is what here in Numbers 9, if a stranger shall sojourn among you, was he Jesus sojourning? And they just happened to thought that he was
That
a
he
stranger.
was a stranger. Yeah.
Will keep the Passover unto the Lord. And this is just showing you what they, you ain't not heard what happened how they crucified. Because why? It is the feast of Passover. So that's why they say, the stranger, you're a stranger. Not Israelites can be strangers.
That's right.
And this is what they're showing you.
And just real fast.
Yes.
Just Acts 2. In Acts 2, when the Jews came from all over
Yes.
to come up to, was it Pentecost?
Pentecost, yeah.
Now watch this. Verse 10, Acts 2 and 10. Phrygia and Pamphylia in Egypt, and in parts of Libya, round about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, meaning the Israelites they converted.
So when Paul was writing that letter, Romans, it was to the
Romans,
strangers.
the strangers that Peter wrote to,
Right.
the strangers scattered.
See, it ain't hard so hard. You could see, I tell you what. Let me just go to Luke 24 and verse 19.
Luke 24 and 19. And he said unto them, What things? And they said unto him, Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people.
Oh, and he said unto them, and so Jesus said, what things? And they said to him concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty in what? Deed and in word. And remember, see how they said prophet? Because remember, Jesus will be that prophet like unto Moses. But I like it says that he was mighty in deed and in word. So his deed was what? That love, that work that he was doing for his sisters and brothers. Healings, miracles, raising Lazarus from the dead. He was mighty in deeds and also in word. That's why they said, with who gave you this authority to speak?
Who gave you?
Before God and all the people. So let's go to Matthew 21 and verse 10. Show you Jesus wasn't no hypocrite. Because what he did was before men and the people.
21,
In 10 and 11.
And when he was come unto Jerusalem, all,
Matthew's 21. 10. You was on verse 10.
yes, ma'am.
Oh,
21.
I'm on the wrong thing.
20.
Okay.
Oh, I was about to
I'm
say.
like, what is this? I'm reading. Yeah, with glasses on. Okay, verse 10.
And when he was come unto Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, Who is this? And the multitude said, This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee.
He was a prophet. Now let's go to John 3.
Remember, Moses said that a prophet
Like unto
to
me.
me.
Okay.
John 3, 1 through 2.
Yes.
There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Jesus by night, and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher, come from God.
A prophet.
For no man can do these miracles that thou doest, except God be with him.
Oh, and what do a teacher do? They speak words. Jesus, didn't it say that he was mighty in deed and word
Yes,
before
ma'am.
God and all the people? And Nicodemus just said, for no man could do these miracles or these deeds. And he also said, well, thou art a teacher. These words, these miracles, nobody can do this except God would be with him. You truly are a prophet. We know this. Only Nicodemus came, but he did say we. So they knew that Jesus was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people. Okay, so now let's go back to Luke 24 and verse 20, unless you had something to add.
Well, I was just I can't find it.
Which one you was looking for?
Let's see real quick. Wish I had my phone. I ain't got my phone.
Oh, here you go. You want to look? Let's see what we got.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's Genesis 42 and 8.
Genesis
I just wanted to read this
42 and 8.
because we was reading where, Jesus is walking with Cleopas
Yes.
and they didn't recognize him. Because it said that they're,
Yes.
let me see,
Okay.
let me get it right, y'all. Hold on.
Verse 18.
Yes.
Oh.
Because it said their eyes were holden that they should not know him. See, this is why we tell y'all
Yep. Verse
that in the
16.
law and the prophets that these things that were written are a shadow of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Right.
Because Genesis 42:8 says, this is when his brothers came up to Egypt for food.
Yes.
And it says, and Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not.
See? That's a good one.
See, so they put Joseph down in that pit,
Tight.
which would represent the grave.
Yes. Oh, that's a lesson
But
in
then
itself.
Joseph was resurrected,
Yes.
and he is now king.
Mm.
And his brothers don't recognize him.
Yes.
They thought he was dead, but
They sure did.
But Joseph liveth, as Jacob was told. Jacob, which would represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob,
Yes.
he lives.
Right.
He lives.
Yes. Oh.
Now believe on Christ.
Okay. So we gonna need a jewel, y'all. We gonna need a jewel.
I don't know. That just came out of nowhere.
We gonna be needing a jewel. Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love that. You can see the contrast between the two. Yes, you can.
So back to Luke
24 and 20. That's a good one now. That's a whole
Yes.
lesson right there.
I might put it together.
Yes. Thank you for the jewel.
All right, it says Luke 24 and 20, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and have crucified him.
And yes, because they was jealous of Jesus. Why? Because he was mighty in deeds and words. And remember, he had multitudes following him. And when you got multitudes following Jesus, that means they money cut.
Yep.
They ain't getting all that money no more because the people are now following Christ. Cut their money short. So the chief priests and the rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and have him crucified. Okay, but so what they're doing here is still they're rehearsing the story to Jesus, like, because remember they don't even recognize
They
him.
don't recognize it like Joseph's brothers didn't recognize
Right,
him.
because it said that their eyes withholding that they might not recognize him. So this is God's doing here. Okay, verse 21.
But we trusted that it had been he which should have redeemed Israel.
Israel. What about everybody else?
Ain't clear this. What about the other nations?
Yeah.
Just Israel? And beside all this, today is the third day since these things were done.
All right. So let's go to Psalms 130, 7 and 8. Because the third day done passed, all this done been done, but we know it was Jesus that should have redeemed Israel. So Psalms 137 and 8.
Let Israel hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is mercy, and with him is plenteous redemption. And he shall redeem Israel from all his iniquities.
Wow. So Jesus is that redeemer. So let me go back to see what it was. Oh, you don't have to turn it there. And this is what Job had hope in, because remember, he said, I know that my Redeemer liveth. Psalm says, let Israel what? Hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is what? Mercy. And with him plenteous of redemption. And he shall redeem Israel from all his iniquities. I know that my Redeemer. Wait a minute. But y'all say Job was an Edomite. And he shall redeem Israel.
And Job said, my Redeemer.
Right.
That he got hope in.
That's right. From all his iniquities.
So he lied on Job.
Stop lying on Job. Okay. Now, let's go back to Luke 24, verse 22.
It says, yea, a certain women also of our company made us astonished, which were early at the sepulchre.
Okay. And he said, certain of our sisters, they shocked us when they was at his tomb, earlier. Okay. Verse 23.
And when they found not his body, they came, saying that they had also seen a vision of angels, which said that he was alive.
And then, you know what? Then these sisters, they said they didn't even find his body. Talking about they hadn't seen angels and that Jesus was alive.
That's what they said. Their words seemed to be idle tales.
Yes. And you could tell the way he talking, you telling Jesus this here. Verse 24.
And certain of them which were with us went to the sepulchre and found it even so as the women had said, but him they saw not.
Oh, so it said, well, some of the disciples, now they was with us. You know, the disciples that with us, they went to the sepulchre, and we know it was Peter, John, because they ran. And they said he was gone, just like the sister said. They didn't see him. Well, so what is Jesus' response?
Then he said unto them, O fools.
He called them fools.
No, not the Lord.
Oh, so Jesus getting raw from them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fools.
Fools and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken.
So did Jesus just rebuke them?
He rebuked them.
So ain't nothing wrong with rebuking.
Fresh out of resurrection and
So-
rebuking.
So Jesus' fruit wasn't rotten
Yeah.
for him rebuking. Mm-mm. Because this shows you could be righteous and still rebuke.
Rebuke.
Because he said, he called them fools.
So rebuking ain't evil.
It's necessary. He said, slow of heart to what? Believe. Because Israel is led by what? Feelings and emotions, which we have what? No faith in God. And he said what? In what the prophets what had said. And so this shows you, he says, O you fools and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. And so this shows you can read it and not even believe it. Because if they don't believe, they had to read
They had to read.
and know what was spoken
That's
that the
why
prophets
he said
had
all
said.
the prophets.
Verse 26.
Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory?
So this shows you, he said, now, didn't Christ have to suffer these things and then enter into his glory or his kingdom or his rulership? Because he kept telling them this over and over, but they didn't believe. But let's go to Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 23. Israel never believes.
Isaiah 45 and 23. I have sworn by myself, the word is going out of my mouth in righteousness, and shall not return, that unto me every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear.
And this is his kingdom, his glory, his rulership, but he had to suffer first before these things. He had to suffer these things before his rulership and him enter into his glory or his kingdom. But Israel, we have to learn to believe what is written.
Yes.
He ain't no apostle. What are we reading here?
Yep.
But Israel we get into our feelings and emotions, and then our feelings and emotion, once that happens, you done.
Right. Can't be led by that.
Nope.
Our people have always been, struggling with that.
Yep. If Abraham is your father and he believed God, you got to do that too. You got to believe. Things just don't happen right away, instantly, like we want them to.
Yeah.
You
have to believe and trust God.
Yeah.
That's what he's always wanted.
Christ had to believe and trust the Father that he would be crucified and rise
And he would
again
raise
on the
him.
third day. That takes belief, trust. It's something that we don't have for our God. But nonetheless, that is all that I have. You have anything else?
No, ma'am. I was good lesson.
Well, all right, family. With that said, we will say shalom.